It's the height of kitten season. This is the time of year when lots of little kittens are being born, and unfortunately, lots of them are dying. A lot of people don't realize that kittens under 8 weeks old are the most euthanized cat population in American shelters. So it's very important to keep them out of the shelter, especially this time of year. Let's take a look at what it's really like for animal shelters during kitten season. This is a chart of the last 4 years of cat intakes in America. You can see that the numbers go dramatically up during May and June. That's when we see this massive spike in the volume of kittens entering shelters. We don't have comprehensive data on kitten intakes in the United States, but what we do have allows us to see some trends. If you look at this collection of shelter data from 2023, you can see that when we look at all of the cats coming into animal shelters, the #1 population entering shelters is actually kittens who were found outside. So it's not kittens being born from oops litters or adult cats being given up by their families. It's actually kittens being scooped up outside by well-meaning people who are the #1 population of cats entering shelters and the #1 population of cats dying there. This is why I will die on this hill for the rest of my life. That in cat welfare, we ought to be prioritizing sterilizing the cats outside and having a solution for the little ones who are found and are in need of help. Now, if you work in animal welfare, you don't need a chart to tell you that it's kittens from outside who are the main source of cats at the shelter, because you can see it happening in real time. When you stand in the lobby of an animal shelter during this time of year, you see people bringing in kittens in buckets and boxes and laundry bins, saying, "We found these kittens outside. Can you take them?" But unfortunately, these kittens are unlikely to survive at a shelter unless a foster parent can be found. So the other day I was at Riverside Animal Shelter. They are one of the highest intake shelters in the state of California. They take in more than 32,000 animals every single year, including thousands and thousands of neonatal kittens. I mean, it's impossible for the animal shelter to take care of more than 90 animals a day coming into their shelter doors unless they engage the community. It really is up to members of the community like me and you to lend a hand. So they did something really cool for kitten season. They actually put a room right up front when you first walk in the door, and it says, "Foster Us." That's where they showcase for the public just how many kittens need help right now. I really love this strategy because I think it's so much more transparent than putting the kittens in the back. It really demonstrates for the public the need for help. The truth is that most people have no idea how big of a need there is. And once they know better, they can do better. While I was there, a couple came in who had found some kittens and brought them to the shelter in a bucket. But when they learned how many kittens were at the shelter already, and they found out how dangerous it was to leave the kittens there, they were willing to take the kittens home and foster them instead. People like this are my heroes.
Oh my gosh, where did you find them?
We walked out, it was later last night, and we just seen them they were just crawling out right there, because we usually kind of feed the cats in right there, and they just kind of appeared. We're like, oh.
We were going to bring them here. When we brought them, they said that most likely they'll be euthanized. We didn't want that to happen. So we ended up fostering them. We have a lot of programs that are going on. It's really cool because, we didn't know about them. A lot of people are scared to bring their pets or pets that they find to the shelter, but it's really cool on the things that they're doing. They're taking care of all the medical, giving us supplies, giving us all that. It's really cool.
That's awesome. Have you ever fostered kittens before?
Other than, not through the shelter, but just ones that we've, come across. These ones, they're sick, we're like, we need help.
We have our own cats, so it's going to be a little bit of a job, but it's cool. At least they get to live,
What would you say to people who find kittens outside?
Don't be scared to take that chance to bring them in, or even if you can foster them yourself, then to do it, it's worth it.
Definitely feels good to see a living thing to be able to keep on living and not be put down,
Isn't that amazing? This is a strategy called Kitten Diversion. Kitten Diversion is all about keeping kittens out of the shelter by empowering people who find kittens to foster them rather than drop them off at a shelter where they may not survive. If a person finds kittens outside and brings them to the shelter, the staff will have an honest conversation with them about the possible risk of leaving the kitten at the shelter. Then they'll offer support to the finder to help them foster the kitten instead. So shelters doing kitten diversion will generally offer free supplies, quick training, medical support, and the ability to come back and get the kittens vaccinated, sterilized, and adopted out once they're older. So the idea is to be honest with the public and to empower them and give them the resources they need to individually contribute to reducing euthanasia and saving lives in their community. I think about it this way. So many of us get involved in animal welfare because we found an animal. That's what happened to me. I was not a foster parent 15 years ago, but then I found a kitten in a tree, brought her home, and look at me now. So that was such a transformative moment in my life. And I think sometimes when people find a kitten outside, bring them to the shelter, and the shelter just takes them in without offering the opportunity for them to play a role in their welfare, I think sometimes it actually disempowers people from having that aha moment. You know, in America, sometimes we can be overly reliant on our institutions, and we can kind of forget that individual community members actually can work together to solve some of these really big problems. So I think kitten diversion is so amazing because it gives that institution the ability to be in honest discourse with the community where it's based, and it actually empowers people to play an active role in reducing euthanasia and saving lives. I'm so glad that 15 years ago I had to figure this out because it empowered me to do this for years to come. And I think, man, sometimes if we just give people the information and the resources, this could be the moment for them where they not just save that life, but they might actually come back and start saving lives for years to come. In this way, we give people the opportunity to have their lives transformed by helping an animal, and possibly to transform future animals' lives too. These are really community-based issues with community-based solutions, and once people know how much kittens really need everyday people like me and you to save them, they're much more willing to try. So I taught a kitten care class that day, and at the end of the class, I showed people pictures of some of the kittens who were currently in the shelter and really needed foster care. I encouraged anyone who was feeling inspired to walk over to the kennels with me and take someone home. Suddenly, foster paperwork was flying.
Oh my gosh, this is the best. I love this. I'm so happy. You guys are making my night. Look at me, I have goosebumps. I'm such a dork. Everybody's signing up to foster. This is the best.
I think just by giving people the chance to really see the individual kittens who needed help, they felt brave enough to say, okay, I'll step up. So it was really beautiful to witness the courage of these people, and it was so awesome to see how happy the shelter staff was. Shelter employees want these kittens to get out and want them to thrive. They just cannot do it without community support. So the shelter staff was passing out supplies, boxing kittens up, and sending them away from the shelter, which absolutely saved their lives. Altogether, we saved over 24 kittens, including a couple little hissy spitty ones that I brought home myself.
Hi, babies. Are you hissing at me? Why are you hissing?
I know you're not the biggest fan of me yet, but we're working on it. It was awesome to be able to do that as a group. We ended up clearing out the entire kitten room, and I think how incredible that all of those kittens now get a chance at life just because of the courageousness of those community members. So think again about that kitten season chart. Even if you can't foster for the rest of the year, if you would consider just fostering 1 litter every June, that could make all the difference for animal shelters. And I don't exaggerate when I say that you will be the difference between life and death for those kittens. In summary, here are the most important ways that you can help this kitten season. Number 1, if you ever think you might foster, do it during spring or summer. This is the time of year where kittens really need you, and there are not enough foster homes to save them all. 2, if you find a kitten outside, make sure that they actually need your help before intervening. Don't just take kittens to the shelter assuming that's the safest thing for them. You can learn what to do if you find a kitten outside using my CASA method at kittenlady.org/CASA. 3, if the kitten you find really does need your help, please consider fostering them yourself rather than dropping them off at the shelter. You can ask your local shelter if they can support you, but please do offer to foster them yourself. And 4, as always, spay and neuter the cats in your home and in your community. Those cats outdoors are responsible for 80% of kittens born every year. So make sure they are spayed and neutered so we don't have any more kittens being born. Kitten season is a stressful time for shelters and a deadly time for kittens. We don't need any more babies being born, and we definitely do not need more babies entering shelters. Whatever you do to help, thank you for being part of the solution.
You never got loved on. You're gonna enjoy it though, I promise. You will. You will. Pretty soon.